There you go. I just dropped the empty tea bag in the teacup. Friggin' hell. Hang on, I've got to dish it out. Just as I went live, I was jingling my tea bag, my Yorkshire tea bag, and that bloody cardboard bit fell into me cup of tea. How are you, everyone? Hope you're well. YouTube saying, Buck, you're live. I know that, YouTube. I know that. Hope you're all well. We'll wait for a few people to get on. You're probably thinking, Buck, what are you doing on 11 o'clock on a Friday morning? You're doing a Phil the Maniac. When you do come on, someone's on, let me know. Lukey Alexander, first on. Well done, mate. How are you? How's that bloody hand coming along, mate? Geez, that was a bizarre injury, mate, wasn't it? Talk about that later. It's absolutely bizarre. Jace Muller, how are you, mate? Bradley Howell, how are you going? I hope you're well. The diddly donk from over the ditch. I've come on just for you, mate. I know that when I normally come on, you're counting sheep over there. It's usually too late for you. Phil Weber over the ditch, everyone. The lurker's on. He's lurking around too. Jenny Cameron, g'day, Jenny. Lorna McMillan, Anthony, do any of you people work? Or are you all like me? You're retired. You're bored shitless. No, not bored shitless. I've been keeping busy. I shouldn't say that. I only just got back home, actually. I'll tell you what I've been up to. Ivan and Lisa, g'day there. Good. Thanks, Brad. Thanks. Sometimes I take my microphone out and I forget to plug the damn thing back in, and it's a lot better quality than the microphone just off the computer. I've got like one of those directional microphones. Lunch break, started work at 3 a.m. All right, you're like Steve Fuller, mate. He's up at bloody 3 a.m. to go to work. Boy, that's an early start to the day, isn't it? I used to get up when I was working in the prisons, I used to get up at 5:30 and get on the road at, 10 past 6. Or actually, I used to like to get on the road, have a quick shower, and get on the road at 6. Get to work at 6:30, but then by the time you get through the bloody X-ray machines and the pods and all that, fingerprint machines and all that shit, and get in and sign your gear out, it was almost 7 o'clock. It used to take a little while to get through the front gate and get all your gear and that, and get up to your unit and get ready to start the day. Ivan and Lisa retired. Good stuff. It's good, isn't it? It's good waking up in the morning knowing you do not have to go to work. It's bloody good. The only thing I've got to do today, I've got a driving lesson at 3 o'clock this afternoon with a new girl. I'm picking her up from the Innisfail High School at 3 o'clock. I go and sign the car out of the PCYC. They've got a little auto and a manual. I think the manual's a little Hyundai i30. I go and sign that out, grab the iPad and that and a lesson plan, and pick her up from the school, and we do a 90-minute driving lesson. It's a new girl today that I haven't driven with before, so see how she goes. Most of the kids I've been driving with so far have been pretty good, I must admit. I haven't had any real bad ones yet. They've all been pretty good little drivers, and they're getting better. And I get them out of their comfort zone. When they start getting a bit confident, I got a few nice little high pressure hills with traffic, and get them doing hill starts when there's traffic coming, and that sorts them out. That brings them back to the pack. But some of them are starting to get, you can see it, and it's a good feeling when you see these kids getting more confident, and it makes you feel good because you know that your teachings are starting to pay off. And when they nail a high pressure hill start, when there's people behind them, different thing, you go away, start off a hill start where there's no one around, it's all right. But when there's someone up their bum, you can see them. They start panicking and that. But when they pull it off, you can see their confidence go sky high. It's a good feeling. Brad Howell, the best job I've ever had. Brad's obviously talking about something. I'll tell you what, I'd love to do this. If this was a paying job, taking kids out and teaching them how to drive, if it wouldn't have to pay much. If it was a paying job, I'd do it full time. I love it. I really enjoy it. Really enjoy teaching, working with people that want to learn. The last 19 years, as you know, guys, as a cop and a screw, you're just dealing with shitheads and just assholes. But when you're dealing with young kids that are trying to better themselves and want to learn, it's a good feeling. And I really love passing on my experience, my life experience to them, teaching them how to drive. Be a driving instructor. Yeah, that's a lot to that. You've got to buy a car and you've got to have bloody left-hand pedals and all that stuff, mate. So, is that a cat trying to get out now? something's rattling on the door. It's either someone robbing me house or it's one of the cats trying to get out. More mad Australians on the road. Yeah, I know. Actually, Phil, speaking of which, when there's a lesson plan, stage 1, 2, and 3, and it gets progressively, and it ends up with night driving and all that, but hill starts and all that. But obviously the stage 1 is the more simpler stuff. They have to watch a video at the start of every lesson, and the videos are all Kiwi. They're from a Department of Transport or something from New Zealand. So they'll be teaching them how to use the accelerator and the clutch and the handbrake on a hill start. And they got to watch a little video on the iPad before we start going for the drive. And the videos are all done over in New Zealand, mate. And they're very well done too, I must add. Very well done. So yeah, it's a bloody, I take the piss out of the accent on them. Really strong, thick Kiwi accents on the video on that. Stick your clutch in and all this stuff. Who else we got? Out there touring. G'day, mate. Hey, Craig, I got your patches, mate, the other day. Thank you very much. I don't know how many patches you got. That's about 85 you sent me now, but they're up in I've got some on my drawer system in the BT, and the other set I've got up on the roof of the BT. So thanks a lot for that. I'm Daryl Simmons. G'day, mate. G'day. What's a crack-a-lackin'? Not much, mate. Not much. I'm just having a cup of tea and a morning jibber. Got a bit to jibber about too, haven't we? There's been some shit news going on in this country in the last week. Real shit news. Might as well get into it now, eh? The stabbings at the Westfield shopping centre a week or so ago at Bondi Junction. What a terrible event. And then, obviously, just after that, the stabbing of Murray Emanuel, the bishop. That young fella stabbed him, and he's just gone to court this morning, and they're charging him with terrorism charges, that young fella. So, I mean, that was terrible as well. But what's even worse is the way that crowd turned on the police. Absolutely disgraceful. But anyway, we'll go back to the shopping centre one. Friggin' hell. Like, how do you... Martin Bryant, back in 1996, when he shot 35 people in Port Arthur. We had a knee jerk and we took weapons off people after that, and I was all for that. I don't have a problem with that. Getting semi-automatic rifles out of the hands of civilians, I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of Yanks will have. I don't. But start thinking, are we too unprotected now? That was a shit event. Back in 1996, I still remember it. As my mate, I was down up in the Daintree. My mate Flash, who's passed away now, he was getting married up in the Daintree, and I remember the news coming over the radio then when I was up for Flash's wedding. Absolutely horrific event, and we went to Port Arthur last year, and standing at that monument down at Port Arthur, reading the 35 names. I tell you what, I was shedding a few tears, guys. It was horrible, and I was walking around the cafe. The cafe's been demolished now, where the main massacre took part. And I turned around. There was another lady reading the monument, and she was howling her eyes out. It's bloody. It touches everyone, that. And that shopping centre, like 6 innocent people just stabbed by some lunatic. How do you stop that happening? I don't think we can. He had mental health problems. He was known to police in Queensland. Like, I just don't know how do we prevent that stuff from happening, guys? Like, it could friggin' happen anywhere. They interviewing his parents on the thing, and I tell you what, I know why there's a law in the criminal code against incest. Dead set. I reckon that might have something to do with it. If they look the old parents didn't look real sharp either, did they? And who knows? He was obviously had mental health problems and everything, they're saying. But after seeing the family, I'm thinking, friggin' hell. A bit of inbreeding going on there, I think, which might cause the problem. Some people will probably hate me for saying that. I'm just saying it as I see it. When they interviewing the mum and dad, I thought, fucking hell, have a look at this. No wonder he was a space cadet Have a look at the family. As I say, the old apple don't fall far from the tree, guys. Anyway, he's in his place now, the piece of shit. Well done to the female inspector. I nearly said detective then. The female inspector, who everyone's saying she's a hero and all that. No, she's not. And being an ex-copper, I think I can say that. She was doing her job, and she did a fantastic job. She did a wonderful job. She's not a hero. She ran in. She did her job. It's what any police officer is trained to do and would have done. Any copper in a blue shirt would have done what she did. Would have run towards the danger and dealt with the situation that's in front of them. I did it millions of times, running into dangerous situations. It's what you get paid to do when you wear a blue shirt and you're a copper. That's how it has to be. And she did a magnificent job. But I'm not going to sit there and go, she's a hero and all that. You're not a hero when you run towards a bloke with a knife, but you got a 40 cal Glock strapped onto your hip. Okay? I've been in that situation. A bloke with 2 butcher's knives standing probably a few metres away from me, and he was probably 1 step away from death because I had my gun pointed on him. Luckily, he dropped the knives. In this situation, he didn't, and he got what he deserved. And I'm so glad he didn't drop the knife. And then we've got to pay for the piece of shit to go through prison for the rest of his life. And then him going, oh, I'm going to self-harm, and got Sykes come running to his aid and all that. He's in his place. And it's just a shame that 9 people were stabbed, 6 dead. And just, that poor young fella, that young Pakistani fella, his first day on the job apparently as a security guard, and he was stabbed to death. Dear, oh dear. And then all the 5 young women. Absolutely tragic. It's just sad, isn't it? When you see their faces up on the TV screen, it's sad to see. 6 really good people gone. And a lot of things they're saying now, some of the people that stood up to him, like that French guy with the bollard at the top of the escalator, trying to stop him from coming up to get to more people. And I think there was another Pakistani security guard that was stabbed, trying to help people on that. And now there's a big debate. Oh, should they be granted citizenship? Fucking oath they should. Absolutely. If that French guy wants to become an Aussie citizen, I'd be fast-tracking that shit if I was the PM. If that bloody security guard that was doing his job wants to be, and he's not an Australian citizen already, and he's applied and wants to be, if I was Albo, I'd be fast-tracking that shit. And anyone else in there that anyone who tried to help people out, and that's what we do. That's what a good human being does. You try and protect other people. And dear, oh dear. And we'll go on to about maybe it's time to start ramping up security courses so that our security guards are more highly trained. They've got more powers in a shopping centre, powers to detain, especially when they catch a shoplifter or whatever. They've got the power to detain. And if that person's being violent, they've got the power to throw handcuffs on and detain until the police arrive. Should they be carrying a sidearm? I did my security course when I left the army. I didn't end up doing any sort of security work because I got accepted into the police. It was like a bit of a backup plan. I didn't need it, which is good in a way. But I did my security course, and we did a course at firearms so that we could go out and get a job doing Group 4 or Armour Guard or whatever and actually carry a gun. So I did that part of the security course so you could carry a sidearm. Maybe we need to ramp it up. Maybe security guards in a shopping centre need to be better trained, given more power, and be able to carry a gun so that they can, if there is an incident in there, they can assist the police. Not every shopping centre has a police beat, and if they do, it would be one copper if he's on shift or he or she's on shift. Poll time. What do you reckon, everyone? Poll time. There's 52 on. There's enough for a poll. Start a poll. This keyboard's playing up a bit too. It's been missing letters and everything. I nearly smashed it the other day. Such as, this is a long one. Will it let me? Start a poll. See if that worked. Oh, question's too long. I knew it would be. Now, I'll just had to take the end bit off. Should security guards in a shopping, say in shopping centres, we're not talking about nightclubs and that now, guys. Security guards around shopping centres and places like that, be given more power, extra training, power to detain, power to handcuff people if they're being violent, power to detain until they can hand over at the first possible opportunity to the police, and the power to carry a sidearm if they've done the correct training. I know, we don't want to go down the American way where everyone's walking around with an AR-15 strapped to their chest on an open carry. I'm not talking about that. But maybe, does it take an incident like this for us to go, hang on, the world is changing for the worse. Maybe it's time to start ramping shit up a bit and giving our security guards more power. Make sure that the security course they do is full on and that they teach them all the legislation, the laws, when they can and can't detain, when they can and can't pull their firearm, the same sort of training that police are given, but on a smaller scale, obviously. I would be voting yes to this, and it looks like a lot are. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, I wouldn't trust some of them security guards walking around with a sidearm. That sidearm does not come out of the holster unless someone's in fear of grievous bodily harm or death, such as this incident here. That security guard may still be alive if he was armed. That security guard that's in hospital that was badly stabbed, maybe he wouldn't be in hospital if he had a gun to protect himself. I'm not talking about everyone having a gun on their hip. Gidgey's on. I was just talking to Gidge. G'day, mate. And this is what sparked me into doing this live feed. I was just talking to Ken. We'll talk a bit about that soon. Once again, pie in the sky shit. Me and Gidgey talking over the phone how we'll sort this country out. It's never going to happen, but we got to talk about it, don't we? Because it's friggin' going backwards. It's going backwards. I'm all for it. We'll do another poll in a minute. I'll wait till this one's done. We'll talk for another 5 minutes. But anyway, absolutely, Jenny, pepper spray at a bare minimum. When a bloke, and I'll tell you a copper story. I went to an incident one night. Bloke was he was a mental health patient as well. He was high on drugs. He was a big bloke too, just quietly. He was a big fella. He's about bloody 6 inches taller than me. He's about 6'6". And he was threatening to stab his family. They were all barricaded in the house out on a cane farm. When I got there, I went through his little house and I found a big boning knife on his kitchen bench because they said he was running around with a knife threatening to stab her. And I thought, well, at least he hasn't got the knife now. Got down to his mum and dad's house on this cane farm, and here he was. And I had my torch on him. It was night time. Had my torch on him, and he stood up and turned around. And what did he have in his hand? A bloody big butcher's knife. Big one of those dirty, big curved boning knives that a butcher uses. So before I didn't even think of getting my gun out. He turned around and he just picked the knife up and went to hurl it at us. And he did. He let it go at us, and I just went, duck! And we ducked, and it missed it, and it went straight over our heads, hit a brick wall, and ricocheted back under his feet. That's when I pulled my capsicum spray out, my OC spray, and I gave him a burst of that. And then I finished him off with my fists, guys. And I'm not ashamed to say that. That was game on material. I just bloody had my life threatened, and I OC sprayed him, and I splattered his nose over his face, and we got him in the paddy wagon, got him back to the station. He was still going off like a frog in a sock. still kicking the shit out of the side of the paddy wagon. And it was midnight. And the midnight crew were coming on. There was a couple of new ones just out of the academy starting midnight shift. And he's just going off, kicking the shit out of the paddy wagon. And I said, who hasn't used their spray yet? And this young girl looked at me and went, oh, I haven't. I said, get it out. He's getting another dose. So I opened the bloody door and she gave him another bloody canister full in the face, closed the door until he started almost choking to death. And then I opened the door and just grabbed him out by his legs and we just dragged him by his legs and his hair into the padded cell, got the cut down knife, cut his clothes off. So we knew he had nothing on him, cut his clothes off and just bloody went out, closed the door to the padded cell, opened the little hatch, and I threw a spray bottle of water through to him. That was my aftercare. That's something we had to do, give him aftercare. But he it was a long trip home for that bloke, let me tell you. Next morning, my senior sergeant bails me up. Did you give that bloke a touch-up last night? I said, yep. What for? I said, he threw a butcher's knife at me. And he goes, fair enough. That's how it should be. That's how your bosses should be. Okay? And he never ever went to court for a serious assault or anything. That bloke, they deemed that he was too mentally screwed up in the head. So a similar, where I'm going with that, probably similar to this other maniac that was in the shopping centre. He wasn't right up in the head. And as I said, I had a bloody big knife thrown at me, and it just missed me. I didn't have a chance to get my gun out on that one. It happened that quick. And there was another time there where I did pull my gun on a bloke. He had a knife in each hand, and his girlfriend said he was going to wait for you to run in the kitchen and get you from behind with the knife. So thank God I saw him before I went into the house. So this type of shit can happen. So, Debbie, wasp spray from Bunnings with a 4-metre squirter works wonders. Well, there you go. Because as you know, civilians can't carry pepper spray, but hey, is it against the law to carry a can of wasp spray? And Debbie, what you could do, as you're squirting it, you could light her up with a cigarette lighter and flamethrower them at the same time. That would be even better. Tex Pat's on. G'day, mate, he's not in Oregon anymore. He's in Washington State, I think. 6:30 here on the west coast of the USA. 6:30 p.m. last night, mate. We're 11:36 a.m. here on the east coast of Australia. Almost midday the next day. Well, you're in Washington State now, mate, I think you said. Tex Pat won something in the big drifter raffle many years ago. The big thing that you bury in the ground to winch yourself on the beach or whatever, mate, from memory. I think you won that one. I think you moved from Oregon and have gone up to Washington State, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Washington, yes, on Thursday. Okay, good stuff, mate. Welcome. And we got Phil W. over the ditch in New Zealand. So we've got a couple of international guests on. Not sure if anyone else on. Steve W. I don't know where Steve. He might be working at the moment. Who knows? And Andy Richards up there in the mother country and Scruffy Bollocks. And Mike Blakely. John Bean. I got another guy, Tex Pat, an ex-Oregon police officer, mate. I'm going to do a live feed with him soon. John Bean, his name is. And he's just recently retired and lives in Oregon. And he was a police officer up there. So I'm really looking forward. The Sand Anchor, Nikki, that's it. Yeah, the Sand Anchor. Tex Pat one, or I still remember that. Beauty. Tom Rowlands is on. The Pump Koala. G'day, Toddy. How are you, mate? So anyway, let's do this this poll here. Should security guards at shopping centres be given more powers, such as powers to detain, handcuffs, OC spray, or pepper spray, as most people call it? 88% said yes, and I agree with you. I think that's absolutely. Obviously, we don't let any dunder-clumping be armed up with that stuff, but I reckon there's our security courses, ramp them up a bit, make the training better, and make sure that we protect our bloody citizens there. Who knows? If those guys had pepper spray on, at least pepper spray at a minimum. Pepper spray saved my ass a lot of times. I had some blokes going to fill me head in with a tree branch one night. Actually, I've had a couple of tree branch incidents. blokes wanting to bash me over the head with tree branches. And the pepper spray got me out of the shit every time. It worked a treat. Couple of young fellas up in Arakoon one day were coming towards me with some tree branches. So I foamed their face up with some spray, and they started squinting. And the next thing, they dropped the tree branches and ran off. And then another one day, a bloke was smashing his missus to pieces with a big tree branch. It was pretty brutal. He got 3 years in prison for this. And I got there and I said to him, I said, drop that tree branch. Anyway, he started coming to me with it, sprayed him, kicked him in the chest, and arrested him. He got 3 years for that one. Still remember his name too, piece of shit. I hope he's dead now. So, yeah, it's pretty brutal. That was all over because his missus wouldn't give him some money for some cigarettes. So he dragged her down the flight of stairs on a old Queenslander home, by her hair, all the way down, all the way up the backyard, tore a big, thick tree branch off a tree and started beating shit out of her with it. Once again, another one of these houses here in Innisfail that all cop haters, but as soon as something happened, onto the triple O. Get around here and sort our shit out for us. Pieces of shit. I was talking about that on the last live feed. Hey, another one. Should start a poll. I'm talking about the Pakistani security, not the one that's dead, obviously. There's an injured one as well. Maybe he's not a citizen yet. Apparently the French guy with a bollard, a couple of those people there that were armed up with chairs and bollards and that were overseas people. One was a French guy and that, and I've heard on the news, I think he does want to become an Australian citizen. Should the be sit how did I come up with that spelling? You know what I mean here, guys. Start a poll. So all those guys, and I'll give you maybe the security guard that's injured, the French guy with a bollard that was trying to stop him coming up there, should we fast track their citizenship? Obviously, after we've done security checks and that, obviously we just don't let any Tom, Dick and Harry in. Once the basic security checks and that are done, should we fast track their citizenship for what they did? And bloody, yeah, I reckon we should. 90% say yes so far, so we'll let that go for a little while. Who else is on? Gary Neal. Hey, mate, why our citizens can't use pepper spray? Well, it's classed as a restricted, here in Queensland, mate, under the Weapons Act, it's classed as a restricted item. And if you get caught with handcuffs, extendable batons, capsicum spray and all that type of shit, you'll be charged for possessing a restricted item under the Weapons Act. It comes down to everything, mate. You'll get people that do the wrong thing with it. People will take pepper spray if you can buy it. People will take it into a nightclub, and as soon as someone looks sideways at them, should be going in a nightclub and that. People do the wrong shit with it. It's the same old story. Takes a few assholes to stuff it up for everyone. I agree. I wish women could carry pepper spray in their bags, so if they ever threatened in a shopping, go into their car under a shopping centre and that, they've got some sort of protection. I agree, but it just takes a few assholes to do the wrong thing. And I went into the gel blaster store the other day here in Innisfail, and he's got weapons in there that dead set look like real weapons. From a distance, they look like an M4 carbine or a bloody M16 or a Steyr out of Steyr there. It just looks like a modern day Steyr. And he said Queensland's about the only state now that still allows gel blasters because arseholes are going around doing the wrong thing with them. Personally, I think gel blasters should all have to be bright yellow or bright orange or whatever. These things look too realistic. I think you should be allowed to use them, but they should be a certain colour that, yeah, you pull one of them on a police officer, the cop's going to shoot you. I'll tell you what, they look very, very realistic. And the handguns, the gel blaster handguns, Some of them are actually metal. They're not plastic. They're actually metal. I picked one up. It was a 1911, a Browning 1911, or Colt 1911, sorry. And it was as heavy as normal bloody 9mm handgun that we used in the army and looked just as real. But when you pull the magazine out, it takes little gel blaster things, balls. But outside, it looks like a real gun. So people were doing the wrong thing with them. Now, listen, as a cop, if someone in Queensland pulled up beside me and pulled an M4 out the side of the window, there's a fair chance I'd probably go, good one, mate, and pull my Glock on them and see how they go. There's a fair chance that'd be a gel blaster, unless it's a rebel bike, something like that might get their hands on them. But yeah, they look too realistic. Security checks don't account for egos. Yeah, I know, mate. But that's why, Chris, we don't give them to everyone. I think the security course that we do has to be very professionally run. And it's almost like a smaller version of going through the police academy, mate. Security guards, get security checked. You got a criminal history? See you, mate. Domestic violence? See you later. All that type of stuff, all the checks. And then when you do it, your instructors are all ex-cops, things like that. Teach you the legislation, teach you how to use it. If you're going to carry a sidearm, on my course, we had to go to the range and actually use the guns. Ruger, 357 Rugers it was on that course we used. So a revolver. Yeah. Gel blasters. Oh, gel blast. Yeah. Anyway, so Chrissy's saying gel. He was talking about gel blasters. Hang on. I'll go back to the original thing. I forget what you said now, mate. Oh, Gidgey's going on about his child maintenance, is he? I missed that thing there. Yeah. Long story short, Gidgey had to pay 12 years of child maintenance, guys, for a kid that wasn't his. The court just deemed him the father, and $80-something thousand later, he finally tracked this woman down in Tasmania and got a court order that she had to do a DNA test, and the kid wasn't Gidgey's. And the courts just wiped their hands of it. Said, oh, yeah, she can pay you back at $2 a week or whatever. Gidgey said, I'll be about 250 years old by the time I get my money back. Stick it in your ass. So the government should have had to pay that one back. The courts were the ones that deemed him the father with no proof. Just said, oh, we deem you the father on her say-so, and started docking him money out of his pay for 12 years. Absolute bullshit. Yeah, absolute bullshit. Look what happened to my guitar pick then, everyone. It's gone in half. So should those guys get fast-tracked for citizenship? Yes, 85%. Yeah, I reckon they should too. Bloody well done to them. Well done to those guys. And you saw there was about 5 people run in when the female inspector was running in. There were blokes backing her up with plastic chairs and all that type of shit. Good on them. Good on them. It's good to see. So we saw a lot of good stuff out of that from the public. Come to the Bishop stabbing, the behaviour of the public was atrocious. Absolute. What was it? 40 police cars damaged, 30 of them unserviceable now. And they were bloody, I'll go with shit if anyone reckons I'm racist here. The church was a Syrian Orthodox. So they were Middle Eastern Christians. So as we know, a lot of Middle Eastern people are of a Muslim background. These were from a Christian background. So they were, the bishop is a Syrian Orthodox. I didn't know such thing existed. But those people who turn on the police, you pieces of shit. And that's what happens when you let too many immigrants congregate in the same fucking city. There you go. I've said it. That's what happens. Sydney. And when I went down to Sydney a few years ago, I was friggin' horrified with what I saw. I went into Sydney city and I didn't even think I was in my own country. Absolute bullshit. Now, you know I'm pro-immigration. I love Australia being a multicultural society. But that friggin' city is just a fucking cesspit or whatever that word is for things like that to happen. All the shit that's going on overseas, and they're all protesting with their Palestinian and Israeli flags and that in the city. Like, piss off. This is Australia. There's no room for that shit. And that's what happens when you put too many of them in the one place. And Albo, the immigration numbers are way up at the moment. He's letting anyone in, apparently. The immigration numbers are way up, and they're just coming in. And they're not coming to places here. You don't see too many of them around little country towns. They're all going to Sydney and Melbourne. God, I've got no problem with a bloody family coming here. Tell them to come to Rockhampton or Mackay or Toowoomba or friggin' Cairns or Cooktown or something. Why do they all congregate in Sydney? That's what happens. You get that bloody pack dog mentality. And someone was on there and said, police took too long to get the grub out of there. Feel sorry for the police. They probably thought if we take him out of there, they're going to kill him. So they were trying to protect him. Isn't it a shame they couldn't have said, hey, guys, have the piece of shit. Do what you want with him. I'm sure the police would like to have done that, but they can't. Their job is to protect everyone as much as they probably hate, even the grubs. You got to protect the grubs. So it would have been nice to throw that little piece of shit out and let those mongrels have him, but they couldn't. But there's no excuse for them turning on the police. Absolutely disgraceful. And I'll say it again. That's what happens when you let too many people in the one fucking area, and Sydney is full of it. I don't know how anyone who lives down in Sydney, I don't know how you do it. We're losing our country, guys. We're losing our country. They're just letting too many of them. Went through Lakembla. And as I said, might be a bit of a redneck. I live in North Queensland. And I went to Sydney for a long weekend, went out and saw the, what was it called? The bagpipes and all that shit. And it was a wonderful thing. And on the train out there, it went through Lakembla, is it, or whatever, or one of those suburbs of Western Sydney and that. And I looked out of the train and all I could see was, I thought I was in Baghdad, in Iraq. People walking around in the full get-up with their no face, like the full Muslim get-up. And as I said, I'm not a racist, but I just found that bizarre. I thought, fuck, this is Australia. Look at it. Then I went into Sydney City, and it wasn't until I actually got on the bus, me and Roz, and went out to have a look at Bondi Beach, I started seeing some Aussies. And you know what? When I flew back into Cairns and we drove down to one of the Cairns shopping centres, Edmonton Shopping Centre there, Stockland Shopping Centre, and I got out and we said, let's go and have a coffee and that before we drive back to Innisfail. And I got out and I could see Aussies like me walking around and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people again. I felt like I was back home. I didn't feel like I was in my own country when I went to Sydney. It was bullshit. Anyway, we've let it get like that, haven't we? We haven't. I haven't. The bloody politicians have. Absolute bullshit. As I said, that Sydney, she's bloody Lakemba. Nikki Slate, Lakemba. No, I didn't say Rakemba. I said Lakembla or something, didn't I? I said it with an L. I didn't say Rakem. Mark Lavelle, give yourself an uppercut. I said I can't remember what I said. I said it with an L anyway, whatever it was. It was close to Lakembla. I said Lakembla. It's Lakemba. Apparently, Nikki Slade saying there. Bankstown. Yeah, I know. As I said, I got nothing against Muslim people. I've got nothing against anyone, guys. But when you get in a big group, start bloody behaving like Aussies. Start like, we don't expect you to carry on like that. It won't be. And I was talking to Gidgey now. One thing I did like to see, the police commissioner, the female police commissioner of New South Wales, said, we're going to find out who you are and you're going to be paid a visit. Well, guess what? I don't know if they're called CERT or the TRG or the SOGgies or whatever, Tactical Response Group, I'll call them. New South Wales. In Queensland, they're called CERT, Special Emergency Response Team. I think they're called Tactical Response Group or something. Brad Howell will be able to tell me. or Special Operations Group, I think it's Victorian. They turned up, the Balaclava squad, I call them. They turned up and they got one of those pieces of shit that was jumping all over the car. And the big fella was chest poking. He said, the commissioner said we'd be here and we're here. And you're fucking under arrest. Good shit. And I hope they keep it going until they get every last one of those pieces of shit, especially the one that threw the brick at the police officer and smashed his jaw, and all the pieces of shit that were jumping on and destroying the police cars. I hope they get every last one of them. And Gidgey said this morning, I'm going to swear, guys, because I'm getting rolled up here. What they should also do is, if they are immigrants, if they find out that they are immigrants and they've committed those offences, they should be going, guess what, arsehole? You're going to get charged. You'll do your time in jail. And then as soon as the day you get out of jail, Border Force is going to be there to greet you at the reception store of the prison. And they're going to skull drag you to a detention centre. And then you're going to be on a plane and you're going to be out of here. And your fucking family's going with you. You're out of here. You've lost your citizenship. That's what should be happening to these pieces of shit. If they're born here in Australia, there's not much we can do about it. They'll do their prison time or serve their punishment. But if they're immigrants and they weren't born here, guess what? Fucking see you later, you pieces of shit. Absolutely. Roz is home because I can hear Rafa bloody going silly. She's going to go, are you doing a live feed? As soon as I go, you do a live feed. So that's my feelings. That's my feelings. I know not everyone's going to agree with me there. I don't care. That's my feelings. And it pisses me off when I see people like that jacking up on our police and that. So, yes, I'm live. She just rolled her eyes at me. I said, yes, I'm live. She rolled her eyes, walked into the king. So, yeah, not good. Like, as I said, I'm pro-immigration. I love Australia being multicultural. But, Jesus, when you come here, you act like human beings. You act like Australians should act. Be a good person. That's all we ask. Be a good person. Keep your own culture, sure, but try and assimilate into Aussie culture too. I love it. I was seeing the Lebanese people at the footy and supporting Canterbury Bankstown. It's bloody good. I love seeing that shit. I love seeing. We joke about the Lebos all go for the Bulldogs with Russ and that because Russ is the doggies. And we go, Russ, you should go down, join your Lebo mates down there, and Buddy Barrick for the dogs down in Sydney and all that. We joke about it. It's good to see. It's good to see, and there's some Lebanese boys actually in the NRL, and that's fantastic to see as well. But, you know, just, hey, Pap, how are you, mate? That was bloody made me angry the other night, seeing the way that they were carrying on against the police and the paramedics. Pieces of shit. I just hope that, Brad, I hope the New South Wales Police Force, mate, go hard on them. I friggin' hope they go hard, and with Gidgey on this one, if they weren't born here, charge them, punish them, and then hand them over to Border Force and fuck them off out of this country. We don't need them here. We don't want them. We don't need them. We don't need that shit. We need to start cracking down on this garbage and let people know, you come here, we don't think, same as the Sudanese mob, these young Sudanese lads run around with friggin' machetes and bush knives and that in our cities. I can see you later. Go to jail and then piss off back to Sudan. I don't care what happens to you over there. While you're in our country, you fucking toe the line and you abide by our laws. So anyway, I've had me 2 bobs worth now. I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me. If you don't, no, that's all right. I don't expect you to agree with me. And I certainly don't want to come across as a racist, guys, because I'm not like everyone. I just expect Steve Wilkes is on in Mexico. G'day, mate. Just expect everyone to behave like decent human beings when you come here. I think when you get granted citizenship or you're allowed to come into this country, it's beautiful. Just a look, Roz, I'll show everyone. It's a privilege, not a right. Roz just there's Roz, got some dragon fruit. Kenny Hop grows these up at his farm up there at Brampton Beach. You can get the white ones, and they're the red ones. It's called a dragon fruit. They're a weird-looking fruit, but
that's sweeter. The red ones are sweeter than the white.
Yeah, the white ones are almost tasteless. These ones are quite sweet, and they go beautiful with a bit of ice cream or whatever.
Oh, Lukey.
Lukey Reed's on saying g'day to Roz. And she's got a slacking T-shirt on there from Canada. if Slacken's on, I don't know. Speaking of Slacken, he's on Saturday night at 8 o'clock Queens or Eastern time. I can say Eastern time now. 8 o'clock. I had to do it later, but sparrow fart for Slacken up there in Canada, guys. So Slacken will be on 8 o'clock Saturday night. We'll talk about grizzly bears and beavers. So make sure you come on. Nikki Slade, will you be able to make it past 8 o'clock on a Saturday night? I hope you will. I think the Cowboys are playing Saturday night. Gee whiz, I bloody go above and beyond. Mind you, they're not worth watching. Useless pricks, the Cowboys. Absolutely. Don't look at your shit after eating red dragon fruit. It scares you. Yeah, you probably think you got bowel cancer or something, mate. But they're nice. If you can get your hands on dragon fruit, get a white one, or you don't really know what colour they are inside till you cut the bloody things open. The white ones, they're nice, and make sure they're cold out of the fridge. Beautiful. Those red ones got a nice sweet taste to them. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Carrie, trust Gidgy to come up with that shit. Speaking of shit, I should tell him that story, Gidgy, but I won't. I won't embarrass you. Live on air. Yeah, so, yeah. Bulldogs and Knights this week. Yeah, Cowboys are playing the Sharks on Saturday, I think. The bloody Dolphins are playing Parramatta up in Darwin tonight, and I think who's the other game? St. George and the Warriors. I think Phil Weber. I think the Warriors, they're going well, mate, and they've just signed Fisher Harris for 4 years, the Warriors. Watch this. The Warriors are going to win a grand final in the next few years. I hope they do. Everyone, they were saying last night, I think the Warriors is everyone's second team at the moment. What they went through during COVID was above and beyond. And they're starting to, if they can hang on to Sean Johnson a bit longer, they're turning into a real good footy team. And I'd love to see them win a grand final. I don't often say that about the mongrel filthy Kiwis, wanting them to win anything, especially the All Blacks. Always like seeing them lose. But I'd love to see the New Zealand Warriors win a grand final. I've never won one yet. They've been in a grand final, but they haven't won one yet. And I'd love to see them do it. It'd be fantastic for New Zealand. Be fantastic because the sacrifices that team made during COVID was unbelievable. It was. Yeah, Parramatta beat my Cowboys the other night. I'm off just checking out what we're doing. All right, Nikki, say good day to Jace for us. I like Jace's new Jason Slade photography shirts too. Nikki, they look really good. Say good day to Jace for us. Hope you're both well down there in Gloucester. That's a nice little town. Too bloody cold for me, but just tired all the time. Might have got bitten by a tsetse fly, Nikki. I'll tell you what, speaking of which, I've been tired since I got COVID about a month ago or five weeks ago when I come back from the Gold Coast. I'm tired all the time, and when I go to the gym, I just get exhausted really quick. So that's that bloody COVID still lingering around with me. Yeah, Nick, you might have been bitten by a tsetse fly. They make you feel sleepy all the time too, apparently, the old tsetse flies. But I think you only get them in Africa, don't you? Africa and Gloucester. I think they hang around. See you later, Nikki. Hopefully you can join us for Slacking on Saturday night at 8 o'clock, mate. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Anyway, there was something else I wanted to say, and I can't remember what it is. I cannot remember what it is. Ken said we got yellow the other day. White inside. Oh, righto. So a yellow dragon fruit on the outside, and it was white inside. We always get the red ones, and when you cut them open, you kind of don't know what you're getting. It's either white or red, like that one there. The red ones are the nicest. They are nice. And tell you what, Gids, we'll have to do a cook-up. Come on, get your ass up here. We'll do a cook-up, and we'll decorate it with dragon fruit balls. We'll do some sort of dessert. What about Andy Rich's bread and butter pudding, and we might decorate it with some white and red dragon fruit balls over the bread and butter pudding with some ice cream and cream. I might smarten up the bread and butter pudding that I'm doing for Andy Rich's soon. Yeah, so that'll be when it stops raining. Bloody hell. It doesn't know how to fine up here at the moment. Anzac Day coming up next Thursday. Absolutely. Make sure you all have a great Anzac Day. Gidgey's going down to Airlie Beach for Anzac Day, catching up with Mick down there at the Airlie Beach Hotel. So that'll be good. Airlie Beach will put on every town in Australia and New Zealand puts on a good show for Anzac Day, don't they? They really do. So it's the best day of the week. I don't go out and do much Anzac Day, guys. I like to stay at home, watch a lot of the documentaries, the World War I and World War II documentaries on TV, and get up early in the morning, might drive out to the beach, grab a coffee, and just sit out the beach, watch the sun come up out over the ocean, and I like to sit there and have a think about the Anzacs over 100 years ago, just as the sun was about to come up. They're storming the beaches of Anzac Cove there. And that's what it's all about for me, is remembering those guys, not about me being ex-army and all that. I know a lot of my mates like to go in and march with their medals on and go to the RSL. That's not for me, guys. I just like to reflect and think about the original Anzacs and all those guys who went overseas and fought for us. That's what it is to me. Is remembering those guys. What a tough generation the Anzacs were. They'd be rolling over in their grave now if they saw the state of this country. They really would. And our World War II vets, they'd probably be up there going, why the fuck did we go and put our lives on the line? Have a look what it's become. It's a disgrace that we've let our country get like this. It really is. I know there's a lot worse places you can be. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot worse places we can be, but we can be a lot better, and we need to be a lot better, this country. We're slipping. We used to pride ourselves on being Australians and being able to do the best of everything. Best manufacturing, best this, best that. We can't say that anymore. We're friggin' useless. We can't get simple shit right. The other day, I'll keep going on and joking about the Bruce Highway. And it's in the news up here in Queensland now about what an absolute disgrace the Bruce Highway is for a national highway. I've been saying it for years. And it's, and I'm not the only one, Roz said. A lot of people have. They're not spending enough money on it. They reckon that stretch, the Serena stretch between Rockhampton and Mackay, is some of the worst highway in Australia. Way up here during the wet season. It's embarrassing. And it's a major highway. Absolutely embarrassing. And our friggin' politicians let it get like that. Why we can't have a highway that can stand up to one wet season? Are we not capable of building in this country anymore? Maybe we should get a Chinese company over to build one. Maybe they build it better than us, because we've just lost the ability to friggin' do anything anymore. It's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. One wet season here, and new bits of road just get bloody potholed. Shouldn't be potholing in one wet season. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Kaz's birthday. Yes, Jennifer. Kaz's birthday on Thursday, Anzac Day, guys. Special day for Kaz. He served overseas a few times when he was in the army, and it's also his birthday. So make sure you get on In the Trenches with Kaz on Facebook or whatever. Send Kaz a message and say, mate, glad you're out of hospital and happy birthday for Anzac Day. So what a great day. Someone like Kaz, who's just he bleeds green, guys. He's like, he hasn't been able to let the army go. I can let the army go. I like to bring up funny stories about the army and that every now. It's still in Kaz. Kaz is like, I think Kaz got out of the army because of this Crohn's disease and shit. I don't think he got out because he wanted to get out. He got out because he had to get out because of his health and that, after serving 24 years. And it's still in him. He's still got green blood. He cannot let it go, and he won't let it go till the day he dies. And even when he goes up there, he'll be talking. He'll still be trying to recruit people for infantry once he gets upstairs, I'll tell you. Anyway, big announcement from the government the other day on spending more money on defence and all that, which is a welcome announcement, but this shit should happen 20 years ago, guys. It's too late. It's too late. We are so far behind the rest of the world when it comes to defence. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We really needed to be way ahead of where we are now. And I won't go down that rabbit hole, because it's just you could spend weeks talking about the state of our defence force. Yes, we got some good stuff coming, but we should have had it 10 years ago. The stuff we're getting, self-propelled artillery, Apache helicopters and all that, we needed that shit, Apaches and that in Afghanistan, not friggin' now. Like, it's just, we should have had it 20 years ago. Anyway, we won't go there. Still haven't got an offensive, still haven't got a drone that can fire a missile at anyone. The rest of the world has. We haven't. Just hopeless. I think they said we're going to put $1 billion towards drones. It needs to be like 100 billion. Drone warfare is where we're heading. And once again, we'll be left behind. We'll be left behind. I don't do Facebook. No, that's probably a good thing, Jennifer, because there's a lot of shit on Facebook. There really is. There's some funny stuff too. There is some funny stuff on. Look at my guitar pick now. It's in about 20 pieces. I've just picked it. Now I've got to find another guitar pick, guys. I've got more around. I don't know where I've put them. They'll be around somewhere. Kaz is a unit, and that's what makes him awesome. Yeah, he's an awesome guy with a big heart. I know Kaz doesn't say much. He's not quite as outspoken as me. He is on military stuff. He'll be devastated to see what was happening. I'd love to see Kaz come on and actually have a chat about that incident in Sydney the other night, how they turned on the police and all that type of stuff. And it wasn't just your normal run-of-the-mill Aussie people doing it. It was all these Middle Eastern people, supposedly Christians, supposed Christians that got whipped into a frenzy on social media and came down and decided to start trashing police. I can get that they were upset that their bishop was stabbed, but they reckon a lot of the people that turned up had nothing to do with that church, nothing to do with the bishop. They just turned up because it was an opportunity to turn on the police. Pieces of shit. Hope they get deported. Hope they get charged by the police and fucked off out of this country. I really do. And I wish you could have heard me and Gidgey speaking on the phone about an hour and a half ago, guys. It was like, would love to have recorded it and sent it to Albo and said, this is what some Aussies think of what's going on in this country at the moment. Anyway, I put a post up on Facebook the other day about weak men create hard times, and it was I got it off another Facebook site. Big picture of Albo there, and it had weak men create hard times. Exactly what's fucking happening right now, guys. Right now. And as I said, I'm not bloody banging the drums of the LNP party. They are bloody useless too. I don't vote for either. They're all assholes. But the bloke that's in at the moment, dead set, useless. Absolutely useless. He'll probably get voted in again. All the big people that live in the cities and that probably love him, and they'll vote him in again. Anyway, we deserve what we get. You know, what's the old? You reap what you sow. And we're reaping what we sow with our younger generation, aren't we? We really are. Lack of discipline and all that type of stuff, which started falling, 30 years ago? Like, we can't say, the last 10 years. It's been going on. When did corporal punishment get put to bed, guys? Does anyone know? Kevin said, should Kev said, should put a poll up. Should Buck find another guitar pick? There's probably people out there that going, I hope he doesn't, because we're sick of his guitar playing. Speaking of which, I've almost got Lights on the Hill from Slim Dusty down pat now, guys. I can't remember the words. I'm going to have to bring the words up on the computer. But as the strumming and the singing of it, almost you'd think, if you closed your eyes, you'd think it was Slim singing. Dead set. I'm going to do it on the next big live feed. I won't do it on Slackens. I might wait for another one down the track and then come on and hit you with a bit of Slim Dusty, the full song of Lights Coming Over the Hill. What a great song it is. It's about a truck driver, obviously, and he goes over the side of a mountain and is killed because the lights were in his eyes. It was raining, and he went off the side of a thing. So Ed's Camping's on. You wouldn't want to be living where I'm surrounded by them. Yeah, I know, mate. They let too many of them congregate in the same friggin' cities, don't they? That's what I was saying before. Spread them out a bit. And then that shit doesn't happen. Start letting them all congregate in the same suburbs, and you're fucking asking for trouble. You really are. I've got no problems with them coming here, but when you come here, toe the line. Be good people and don't be assholes. And if you are, expect to be fucked off out of this country. But it won't happen. It won't happen. We're too weak gutted. We're too weak gutted to do anything about it. No one, we can't do that. Piss them off back to where they come from. Let them act like that over in their country. That's why our country's going backwards, because we're tolerating that sort of behaviour. And it can't be tolerated. It needs to be stamped down real hard. And I'll tell you what, when I saw that CERT team or TRG team turn up at that shithead's house the other day and went in, all bloody armed to the teeth with M4s and shit and balaclavas on, and the big fella, must have been the team leader, he said, the commissioner said we'd be here, and we're here, and now you're under arrest. And I thought, good shit. I hope they keep going around and doing it and don't stop until they get every last one of those arseholes that either assaulted police or willfully damaged their property. Absolutely disgraceful behaviour. Disgraceful behaviour. Few people have come out and said it was disgraceful. I don't know. It was elbows. I don't know. He should be coming out and saying what I'm saying. Elbows should be out there and saying, I've told the New South Wales Police Commissioner, she's got my full backing. Get every one of them, and if you weren't born in this country, then they're going to hand it over to the Federal Border Force, and they're going to be fucked off out of this country. We will not tolerate that shit. And guess what? All the family that came here with you, they're fucking gone too. Not just you, your whole family's gone. Set an example. And then watch them. And then watch them start towing the line. When they get grandmum, granddad, and all the grandkids, and fuck all them off back to where they came from as well. Because you stuffed up. And I'm a firm believer in that. If one person stuffs up, group punishment. I was brought up with that shit in the army, and it works because it sorts people out. When one person in the army was dragging the chain and being a slug, and the whole platoon got punished, guess what happened to that slug? He either shaped up or shipped out, because the rest of the platoon used to have a little quiet word in his ear and say, mate, if we get punished again because you're a piece of shit, a lazy fat slug, it's not gonna be nice. So they either come up to speed or they're out of there. And that's what should happen with these people. And have other good families, good immigrant families, starting to say, not going to tolerate this. We're not going to get punished because a few of you people are doing the wrong thing. So you need all them to gang up against the bad ones, if you know what I mean. I'm sure they're not all bad people, guys, or there's a lot of good families out there that not Muslim families, Middle Eastern families, or Christian Middle Eastern people. Sure, a lot of them out there didn't like seeing what was happening the other night as well. Not targeting everyone, but they all need to gang up against that type of behaviour as well. And I like how they got all the faith denominations. They got all the Christians and the Muslims and the Buddhists and all the different religions together, and got them together and sat them down and said, hey, we need to keep this on the lid. We certainly don't want to see Muslim families being targeted because of one young 16-year-old's actions. And that's what we don't want. We don't want, the police commissioner said, we can't have people taking the law into their own hands. Well, sometimes when you think the police aren't doing the job, people will do that. But, in this situation, yeah, you can't. I know the police would have liked to throw that little turd out and said, here he is, have him, rip him into 50 pieces if you want. But they had to protect the little turd, and that's why they jacked up. But anyway, I know Brad wouldn't have been happy with what he saw. Brad's brothers in the New South Wales coppers and all that, it was sad to see, and knowing that a couple of the police officers were badly injured is not good, and it cannot and will not be tolerated. And I hope the people up there, I hope the New South Wales Police Commissioner has given directions to her CERT teams and TRG, whatever they're called down there, to say, go and round them up, and hopefully then it goes to the magistrates, the judges, whatever, our justice system, which is where it usually falls down, isn't it? Hopefully they are tough as well. And then when the justice system's finished with them, Border Force steps in and see you later, never to return to these shores, you pieces of shit. Anyway, that's enough of that. You know how I feel about it. Kev said I couldn't handle jackmen in the army either. Yeah, no, and that's how it worked. Kev, anyone who's been in the military knows that, especially during basic training, IET training, and even when you get to a unit, if people are slugs and were dragging the chain and bringing everyone else down, they got sorted out. And I used to see a lot of contact counselling happening down in the radio bays with some of the young slugs that weren't towing the line. Some of the heavy hitters would have a little quiet chat with them in the bays, and you'd see them come out, busted lip, black eye or whatever. Oh, I fell over. Yeah, that's the only thing they understand sometimes. So, and it works. It works. It really does. Anyway, don't forget to tune in tomorrow night, Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, for our live feed with Slack. And it's going to be a good chat. You reckon I can talk? He talks me under the water. Like, he'll talk the legs off a table. So there's times there where slacking, I might have to cut him off because he will not stop jibber jabbering. He can jibber jabber with the best of them. Yeah, called Jack C. Yeah, exactly what they were called. Gidgy in the army. Not Jack Turtles, Jack C's. That's what someone who wasn't a team player was called the Jack C in the army, and it's and I'm sure it's still called that to these days. That was a common term when we went through. I blame the judges for allowing this behaviour to continue. Yes, Graham, but having sat in a lot of trials and court cases and that when I was a prison officer, mate, they are governed by the Penalties and Sentences Act and the Youth Justices Act. Used to be called the Juvenile Justice, JJA, Juvenile Justice Act. I think they call it the Youth Justices Act now. When they read that, the judges and magistrates are hamstrung, and it clearly states in there that imprisonment is to be given as a last resort. And even when you see them go through, if someone pleads guilty straight up, they get a third off straight away. They get a third off straight away off their sentence. So if they were going to get 9 years, they'll only get 6. And then they're eligible for parole after 3. So they get a 9-year sentence, they can be out in 3. That's how the system works, mate. And it's under the Penalties and Sentences Act here in Queensland. And a lot of the times, what we need is the government come out and go, we're going to up the maximum sentence for this crime. That doesn't mean shit, because no one gets a maximum sentence ever unless it's murder. Then it's taken out of their hands. If someone goes down for murder, it has to be mandatory life imprisonment. And then the judge can say you're eligible for parole in Queensland for murder after 20 years. If you kill a police officer, it'll be 25 years. If you do a double murder or more, you won't be eligible for parole until 30 years. Or if it's a horrific crime like Martin Bryant, you'll probably find that he's never going to be eligible for parole. The piece of shit will die in prison where he should die. He should have died at the hands of a bloody police weapon. That's what should have happened to him. How that bloke's still alive, I don't know. Saw a thing with Chopper Reed. They're doing an interview with Chopper Reed before he passed away. And even Chopper Reed said, he's a bit of a hard hitter. He said, I never ever got close enough to Martin Bryant to wring his fucking neck. Then even Chopper Reed wanted to kill him for what he did down in Port Arthur. So, yeah, I laughed when Chopper Reed was like, he's a bit of a loose cannon, or he was. And he said, yeah, I didn't get a chance to get my hands around his neck. So even some of the crims in there, the hard-hitting crims have got standards and things that they don't tolerate, and shooting innocent little kids with an AR-15 that were cowering behind trees and that. Most prisoners won't come to that. And that's why you'll find Martin Bryant's probably in protective custody down there in the Tasmanian prison. Because if they let him out in mainstream, the boys would kill him. Because even they have standards. And a lot of prisoners, and I can speak from experience here, a lot of the prisoners don't tolerate other prisoners who have done things to kids. It's they don't tolerate it. They might be in there for some bad shit themselves, but yeah, That's why you'll find most of your pedophiles are in protective custody, because mainstream prisoners don't tolerate that shit, nor should they. So, and it was good in a way, seeing that. Anyway, I've jibber-jabbered enough. I've been on for an hour and 9 on a Friday. Hope you're all well, guys. Hope to see you all tomorrow night. We won't be talking about all this negative stuff. We're going to have a chat with Slacken, talk about Canada, ask him how his winter was up there, what the temperatures were, how many bloody black bears he's been wrestling in his backyard. Maybe Robbie will come on for a chat. I don't know if Robbie will be out of bed at that time, and saying good day to Mark. I haven't had a chat with Mark for, when did we do a live feed? Nearly 2 years ago, 18 months ago. So it'd be good to have Slacken on again. The last one we did was an absolute cracker. And we ended up talking about bears and beavers and frigging all that type of shit. Yeah, Jay said, fit in or fuck off. Exactly, mate. Exactly. As I said, I'm pro-immigration, but it has to be controlled, obviously. Got to be careful who we let in, careful where we let them settle. As I said, you get them too many of the same bunch in the one area and shit like this happens. And that's what happens when you let them all congregate in the same area. I don't know. Didn't see the friggin' Greeks and Italians and, after World War II when they came out, didn't see them all carrying on like that, did we? Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. As I said, people, you can't just pick and choose what countries you let come into the country. Fucking oath you can. And friggin' Poms, Canadians, Yanks, Kiwi. Should we let the Kiwis in? Yeah, we'll let them in. Kiwis, those types of countries should be almost fast-tracked. Obviously, you do criminal history checks and all that. I know, Pommy Dave, Yorkshire Dave, he's an Aussie citizen now. And as much as I joke about it and say they should never have let you become an Aussie citizen, but deep down, he's a good person. He's a hard worker. Blokes like him should have been fast-tracked. Dave had to come in through New Zealand, through the back door. Went from England to New Zealand, become a New Zealand citizen, was a prison officer over in New Zealand. Don't know if he ever ran into you, Phil Webber. Dave Langan, the diddly donk from Yorkshire. And then he came to Australia, and it's taken Dave a lot of money and a lot of time for him and Celine to become Aussie citizens. Should have been fast-tracked, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Some countries should be fast-tracked. And is that racist to do that? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Letting Canadians and Yanks and Kiwis and Poms and that, fast-tracking those sorts, they're the people we want immigrating here, especially if they're skilled up and that. Come over, they're good people. They come from a similar thinking and to us. And then, obviously, it's great to have other countries coming in too. And but gee whiz, you can't just let any Tom, Dick and Harry come in and then let them congregate and then let them disrespect our laws and our police. Fucking not on. Not on at all. It pisses me off. Geez, I'll get worked up when I start thinking I've got to stop talking about it because I feel my blood pressure rising at the lack of action from our leaders once again. And they need to come down on these arseholes with a big stick. They really do. Anyway, see you, Lukey Reed. Looking forward to seeing you at the Legends Camp. That is exactly the other. Remember I said I couldn't think about something? It was. Big shout out to Russ Longson, guys, from the Townsville Chiefs. Russ organised a game which was played the other night, and it was between a veterans team, Masters Rugby League, not young bloke, that's over 35s, Masters Rugby League game between some Townsville veterans and the Fireys, Fireys, Police, and Prison Screws, a combined team from them. And let me tell you, a lot of those guys in that team are veterans as well. I know a lot of the Screws were. I was seeing some of the photos Russ put up of the emergency services team, and a lot of veterans in there playing against veterans. So it was all played in really good spirit, and it was all for charity. And I think $1,000. Russ sold a lot of polo shirts and jerseys and all that type of stuff. He donated $1,000 to a veterans charity, and I think 1,166, something like that. Don't quote me on that, to the Legends. And Russ said, yeah, he said, I want to help the legends out. So Russ sent through that, I think, 1166 the other day. And Rob Jemison, guys, the Wanderer, he said, yep, money's come through. So that's boosted the legends thing up, I think, close to 20 grand now from the Townsville Chiefs. So well done to the Townsville Chiefs. In particular, everyone's going, oh, well done, Buck. It wasn't me. Russ Longson did it all, guys, doing his bit for charity. So there's another 1,166 from the Townsville Chiefs to the Legends charity. Absolutely amazing, and hopefully we might have some more good news down the track. Well, I'm not going to say anything yet, but it's looking good, isn't it? The boys are doing a good job. The Legends, Steve and the two Robs, bloody Terry, speaking of which, and Phil the Maniac. Phil the Maniac's got some exciting news coming up soon. Mike Blakely is on. G'day, Mike. Hopefully we'll be able to understand Slacken's accent. I think his accent's a bit closer to yours than what mine is, Mike. Hope you're well, Mike, over there. Good to see you on. I don't know how long you've been on. I asked about you earlier on in the thing, and I couldn't see your name. Maybe you've just slipped on recently. But I was having a rant, mate. We had some incidents down here. Bloody some terrible incidents, mate. Really bad stabbings. We don't have guns. We can't run around with AR-15s down here, so we run around with knives instead, mate. And some mental health piece of shit in a Sydney shopping centre stabbed 6 innocent people to death. And then a couple of days after that, we had a Syrian Orthodox Christian church, an Orthodox bishop running church, and a young Muslim lad's come up and stabbed him multiple times and nearly took his life. As if that wasn't bad enough, then the mob congregated on the church and decided to turn on the police and trash 40 police vehicles and all that. Absolutely disgusting. And what I've been saying, Mike, is if they're immigrants and they were carrying on like that, they should be punished, go to prison or get their punishment and then be fucked off out of this country, mate, because we cannot tolerate that sort of behaviour from immigrants. Not acceptable. And I know that you guys are going through the same shit over there without going down another rabbit hole with immigration over there. And that's what Trumpy's been going on about, is how much crime's being committed by these illegal immigrants. We can control who comes into our country. You poor buggers are having trouble doing it because your southern border is open to, well, it's not open, but they're getting across, aren't they, in droves, mate. So I don't think you've got to worry about your northern border. I think if you are slacking, they block that border off so the Yanks don't come up to them. But the southern border, and that's what Trumpy, and I'm on the fence with Trumpy on. He's got good points and bad points, but he is saying that all these illegal immigrants are coming up here, bringing their drugs and all their bad behaviour with them. And we're letting these people come into our country. They're not coming illegally. If they come illegally, we usually intercept them and get them to an offshore detention centre. We're letting these people come in and they're carrying on like this. So if they do carry on like that, start breaking the law, assaulting our police officers and that, see you later, arseholes. You will never return to this country ever again. And all your fucking family that come here with you, they're gone too. Everyone. Grandmum, granddad, mum, dad, the kids, see yous all later. Go back to Syria or Iraq or whatever other shithole you were born in and carry on like that over there, because then we won't care. But you're not carrying on like that in our country. And that's the type of language, not the F words, the type of language that needs to be coming from our Prime Minister and our premiers and our police commissioners and all that type of stuff. And it is coming from the New South Wales Police Commissioner. She's been pretty stern about it. Good on her. Good on her. And Brad Howell, can you please tell your police commissioner to get a decent hat? That pooper scooper, we used to call them, those female friggin' police hats up here in Queensland, they used to have those here and they got rid of them because they look ridiculous, and the girls wear, for parades and that now, wear the normal, these ones. Gee, she's looking a bit dusty. I have to give her a clean up. So that's the Queensland police hat that we wore on our march out parade. And if you go to court or whatever like that, a ceremonial occasion, less the cobwebs and everything, guys, should be polished up a bit better than that. The girls used to use those pooper scooper hats, but they all, in Queensland now, I've noticed they all wear that hat. the females and the guys all wear the same hat, which looks, and even on the girls, it looks quite smart. But your police commissioner's still using her bloody doggy pooper scooper hat. So I might send this one down, Brad. You can put a filthy cockroach police badge on and present that to your police commissioner and said, Buck said, wear a decent hat for fuck's sake, because the one you're wearing looks shithouse. It's a bloody horrible hat. It's a horrible looking hat, those pooper scoopers. I don't know who invented them. Whoever did probably got a promotion and said, look at this for a great hat. Hey, Mike, join the club, mate. Mike's saying most of our politicians are incompetent. Well, I'll tell you what, ours are giving them a run for their money, mate, because we got some dead set diddly donks running this country at the moment. Real diddly donks. Albo won't say that he needs, yeah, I know. He's a weak piece of shit. And as I said before, Jenny, weak men create hard times. And it's exactly what is happening in this country at the moment when you vote in weak thing. I'm sure Albo's got a good heart on. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike the guy as a human being. I think he's like, when everything's going right and all this type of stuff, he's probably he probably means the best for everyone. But at times you need, when you're a leader, you need to make some tough calls and you need to make some tough decisions and you need to bloody come across. And there's an old thing, don't mistake kindness for weakness. That is a big mistake. But the trouble is, Albo is a kind person, and I've got no problem with that. But he is weak at the same time. You need someone, we need a PM who's kind. You're a kind person, but when it's time to put the foot down and stamp on a throat, you have to be able to do it. And I'll give an example. Aussie soldiers. Aussie soldiers are like that. You get any Aussie soldier that goes overseas, I'll use East Timor for an example. Everywhere we went in East Timor, the kids had come running out. And bloody, Mister, and they knew we all had lollies and chocolate bars and all that type of stuff. They loved us. The kids loved us over there because they knew we were kind people and we looked after them and give them lollies and all that type of stuff. But when the militia played up or tried to ambush our special forces boys, fucking things went pear-shaped for them real quick because they knew the Aussies would snap like that, and they went from being nice, kind people to fucking don't fuck with them, which is what happened to those Indonesian-backed militia that tried to ambush our SAS boys down at Suai that time. And then they found out just how bloody Aussies can be when they get the shits. And we need to still be like that. You can still be a kind person, but you can still. I'll take myself. I was probably the most, when I was a copper, guys, the amount of people I let off traffic tickets was out of control. I let too many people off. I even admit that. I was too soft on traffic offences. I gave a few out here and there, usually as attitude adjusters. But I'd rather, I could get the same point across to a person, pull them over for speeding, as long as they didn't back chat me or whatever. If they did, the old ticket book come out. But I'd say, mate, come on. And you'd leave them knowing that, all right, they've done the wrong thing, but then they'd leave and go, fuck, that copper was pretty fair to me then. I won't speed again, or, I'll try and do the right thing. Turn up, two young fellas that punch up outside the nightclub, and you grab both of them and go, you got a choice now. I remember this. Jump in that taxi and fuck off home, or you go in the watch house. Same as you. Next thing you know, two taxis, one in each taxi, gone home. Never see him again for the rest of the night. No, I did that quite often. Give them a choice. Go home or you go in the watch house. But when they overstep the line, they start gobbing off to you, or even look at becoming bloody violent towards you, it was like switch on and deal with this situation right now. So you could switch from being a kind person to being, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have gobbed off at this cop because he's just gone into beast mode on me. And that's what I was like. I was a bloody polite, well-mannered, treat everyone nice, as you see me on here. But when I needed to, I could step up to the plate and fucking let them know that they did the wrong thing. And that's what we need to do. Our prime ministers, our premiers and our police commissioners, all that need to do the same thing. Hope it doesn't sound like I'm just bragging about myself, guys. Just trying to give an example there, but I think that's the best way. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. That's the saying. But at the moment, our Prime Minister is kind, but he's weak as well. And people know. People know that he's weak. Anyway, that was the longest goodbye in history. Lukey Reed will be saying, get off. Mr. P will be up there throwing shit at his TV. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and tune in tomorrow night for Slacking. It's going to be an absolute beauty. Make sure you got a frothy one in your hand. I reckon we'll have a few laughs. Catch you later. Thanks for tuning in. Andy Riches, g'day, mate. How are you? Going to try and get the gidgee up for your cook-up, mate. Porcupine meatballs. And we're just talking about the bread and butter pudding. Roz had some dragon fruit, and we're going to try and make the old bread and butter pudding. We're going to take it up a notch, and I think we're going to garnish it with some white and red dragon fruit balls, some ice cream and some cream. Can't wait for that one. I'd like to get Gidgey up to give me a hand with that cook-up, mate, for Andy. Andy Riches' cook-up, we'll call it. See you later, everyone. See you, Jennifer, Mike, all the internet. Phil W. over the ditch. See you, mate. Up the wires, all that type of stuff. Catch us again, eh? Time for another cup of tea. And then 3 o'clock, I've got to go and do me driving thing. See ya. Bye.